We got a new bait casting reel right here, but we didn't get just one. We got two. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. We are going to set up these new bait casting reels on a couple rods. These are the reels from Facebook. It's the Obalus reels. And this is not an unboxing because I did open it up before to see what was in here. But overall impressions, it's a good looking reel. It's called Basser reel, 8:1 gear ratio. Feels pretty smooth for first impressions. It does have a clicking drag. I don't know if you can hear that. It's a little windy today, so hopefully it doesn't affect it too much. But so it has a clicking drag. 24 position magnetic brake on the side. They say it's a CNC machined spool on there, and CNC machine star drag. Nice handles. Kind of the I don't know what you call that, like the foam type handles, but it's a hard foam, so that feels really good. One thing I did notice, there's no switch to take off the side plate, but if you want to get to the internals of the reel, it does just twist and pop off. And you got 7 magnets inside. Does have a sealed ball bearing in there, and then the spool itself it's another sealed bearing in the center. It says there's 12 bearings in here somewhere. So, and nice looking spool. It's not a real shallow one, but it's not a real deep one either. It's not machined aluminum at all on the body. It looks more like plastic, but they do have metal clips and everything in there. Just, it seems like a standard reel when you first look at it. So you just line that back up again, click it back in place, and you're all set. So, and if you don't know a lot about bait casters, then they do send an instruction manual, but they show a breakdown inside of how all the parts go, and I'm sure I could probably go through there and count all the bearings and see if there's 12 bearings. But and the parts manual does have in English all the parts, but on the instructions side it's all Japanese, Chinese, something like that. So if you're not familiar with bait casters, take your time with them, and I'll show you how to set it up later. But what we're going to do is, we got, like I said, here's the second one. We got 2 of these that we're going to take and try out, and I'm going to fish them normal, like a normal angler every day or weekend angler does. They're both identical, so there's no changes between the two. And let me try to get this guy set on my lap here, but they feel smooth right out of the box. So, and they claim no backlashes. So how we're going to set these up, I've never tried this before. We got, usually I use the 832 Suffix. This is a Suffix performance braid, 50-pound test. I'm going to use one for frogging, the other one for my jigs, swim jigs. So we'll see how this works. It's the same diameter as 832s, 12-pound equivalent, 50-pound test, Suffix Performance braid. So we're gonna spool both these up in that, and then the rods we're putting them on. Got this Shimano Caius, I believe it's pronounced. It was a package rod and reel from Dick's. It is 7 feet long. It says mono 10 to 20 and 20 to 50 on Power Pro. 3/8 to 1 ounce, medium heavy action fast. So I got this on clearance. So when you go into Dick's, make sure you look for them clearance tags, because I got this boy for like 30 bucks. So can't complain about that. Shimano is always a pretty good brand, and I was actually excited to see it. It's supposed to come with a reel, but somebody, and the people wonder why retail prices keep going higher, somebody stole the reel off this. So I bought the rod by itself. And the second rod I'm going to put on is the Lose Xfinity Speed Stick. And same thing, medium heavy, fast action, 10 to 20 pound line is what they recommend. And I basically bought this one because I'm not going high end on my rods for these reels until I see how they work. But the rod and reel match up really good, and like women with their jewelry, men have to be the same way with their fishing, and everything has to match. So just putting it on that rod has a good feel to it. Thumb bar is plastic, and like I said, it looks like a plastic body instead of a machined body, but there's a lot of reels out there that are like that right now. 12 bearings. I said Basser, BS 2000 is the model number. They advertise no backlashes, but I'm going to set this up like I do any bait casting reel, and I'll show you how we do that once we get on the water with these. But has a good feel to it. Rod feels good. Let's throw the reel on this other one, on the Shimano. Now this Shimano does not match the reel, so later on down the road we might have to find a rod that does. So, but that one has a good feel to it too. Shimano rods, back in the late 80s and early 90s I used to be sponsored by Shimano, and boy, how things have changed. But this rod, although it's the same action as the Lose, this one does feel stiffer. So with that in mind, I'll probably make this for my swim jigs. But we're gonna get these spooled up, get them out on the water, and put them through the test. I will probably try to do a long cast to see if it does backlash. I'll set it real loose. And another thing I'll do is, when I do cast it hard, and there was my phone, but when I do cast it hard, while the lure's in flight, I'll click it down so it stops in the air hard, and you'll see how good the gears are in here. So, but they feel good, they feel smooth. The worm gear down below feels good. When you want to oil these, go get quality oil for these, and just treat it like you would any other reel. But let's try to get out in the water and put these Obalus reels through the test as seen on Facebook. I have, if you do a search for Basser, you'll find multiple pages selling this exact same reel. But I got mine through Obalus, and we'll see how they do. Okay, for those new to bait casters, the tension knob on the right side, you can keep the magnet at 0 for now. Take the tension knob, tighten it up to just starts to get tight. then click your bail, and you'll see the reel start spinning. You can go a little bit tighter if you want, and usually what I do is I'll take my bait about 2 foot or so off the ground, then let the spool spin, and it didn't touch the ground yet, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to back that off a little bit, and all I want to do is get that tension set so the lure will hit the ground freely. I'm backing off just a little bit at a time, so that goes down freely, and it's still pretty tight, so I'm going to back it off more until the lure can hit the ground without a backlash. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit, try it again. There, just got just a little bit, so I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. Bring it up about 2 feet, and there. So when the bait hit the ground at the same time, the spool stops spinning. So that's going to be your initial setup. So now, without adjusting the magnet, if you're a novice angler, take it about halfway, and then we'll go ahead and do a cast. And my thumb never touched the spool until the very end, and there was 0 backlash. So this will do what it says it does on the ads. So let's do another cast. No backlash. My thumb was not even on the spool, and that was a pretty fair distance. So as long as you set the reel up like a regular bait caster, I'm going to take the magnet off now. Set up like a regular bait caster, it should do what it says it's going to do. Well, that time it backlashed a little bit, so that tells me I got the spool set just a little bit loose. So I'm going to tighten that up just a hair more. So the way we eventually want to do it, let's get it. Okay, there's just a little loop on there, so I'm going to tighten it up a little more. Practice this in your yard. So, or if you live in an apartment, go find a local park. People look at you funny, but you might be able to find a pond or something to practice in. But practice casting, and don't try to heave it out there really hard. Just nice smooth casts. So there's the last one. There was no backlash at all. I got my magnet set at 0. So there is some initial setup on this. But to be honest, for just doing this in my yard right now, I'm interested to get in the lake. It's casting very accurately, and getting a little better distance than I'm getting on some of my other rods and reels. So yes, so right now just playing with it in the yard, I do like it. But we will get on the water and get out of the rain right now because it is raining, and I'll put a new tail on here too. This is a rage tail that I use, by the way, so on my jigs, and this is a Wisconsin Wildman Edition Super K jig, which has been working really good. So just follow them little steps, and like I said, do some tightening up on the knob here. That's your tension knob. And then on the magnetic brake, if you're new to casting a bait caster, once you get the tension knob set, just go about halfway. When it's windy and you're casting into the wind, you're not going to get much distance, obviously, but that could save you a lot of headaches. So, and monofilament and fluorocarbon generally won't tangle as bad as braid, but for what I'm fishing, the braid is going to work. So that's what we're doing. 50-pound braid on both reels. Both rods are basically set the same, except for this Shimano is a little stiffer, so I kind of like it with that jig. But so we're gonna get on the water next, and we'll see if we can catch some fish with these reels. Okay, we are on the water, and a little windy today, but got the 2 Obalus reels and all set up, ready to go. We're gonna start with a swim jig. until we get closer to the weeds. Then we'll switch to the frog. We'll see how these cast and how they work in real world conditions. We are on the Mississippi River, pool 8 in the Black River area, and we're probably going to stay around this area today. It's pretty windy out, and we are supposed to get some thunderstorms later, so let's get fishing. So far, and again on my frog reel, this one's not set blue magnet at all, but the wind is at my back, so take that for what it's worth. But so far this reel's performing. I better tighten up the drag a little bit. I do want to see what this does when I get a fish. Right there. We have a pair of comrades flying over us. One landed directly in front of us. So, switching to the swim jig. Seen a big walleye, so kind of cool to get one of them. But it was too shallow. Ooh. Okay, there we go. We got one. There we go. He's a little guy. But there we go. Got a little one on the swim jig. Windy, cloudy, storm's supposed to be moving in. But so we got one. That's the basser reel from Obalus, however it's pronounced, from Facebook. So it felt good. There we go. Oh, you better get a net on this one. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, he's a nice bass. Come here, buddy. There we go. He's not huge, but he's a nice fish. Let's get him off here. That is also on the swim jig. It's let's get out of here. Okay, pound and a half. There we go. Yeah, that's it. Pound and a half. Not bad fish. Do want to get out of this area away from the shore so I can cast some more, because if he's in here, there's going to be some more. So there you go. Nice pound and a half largemouth. We are still on the Black River. That fish in Black River, they don't know. So, but that's a good looking fish. So there you go, the Obalus reel. Doing it again. It felt good on the hook set. Reeled it in nice. The fish did feel heavier than what it is, but I'll take it. go. Whoa. There's another little bass. There we go. There's another little one, but hey, that's what's biting today. So, kind of playing with the weather, wind, rain, and these Obalus reels, they're not performing flawlessly, but the frog one is. But my second one is not. Probably needs a little oil. But I'm betting this fish wants to get back in the water, so it seems to be working pretty well. Okay, you know what? Let's do the cast I was kind of mentioning. We're going to rifle this out there, and then we're going to close the bail as it's spinning. So it's either going to make it or break it. So let's see what it does. And that seemed to work. Didn't break it. Actually, sounds smoother. So maybe maybe we reset something in there. But this particular reel that I've been using from Obalus, it's casting nice and working nice, but I can also tell that it's going to need a little bit of oil, whether it dried out sitting in a shop or sitting in a warehouse somewhere, or just from shipping it overseas. But it seems a little dry, but it's still casting nice. I did have the magnet set up a little bit because I was in the wind, but it seems to cast nice. Shoot. Oh, that was a big fish. I don't know if I can get him to hit again or not. Hopefully he didn't feel the hooks. I'll slow it. Oh, there we go. Tell you what, oh, come back here. That 8-to-1 gets him to the boat quick. Oh, this one has a little spot on the side. But there we go. There's another one, little small one. Good looking fish. He has a little thing going on the side. But hey, we're getting the fish now. Okay, well, I decided to come home and tell you what I think of these reels. And it's so windy out that by the boat ramp, there's no way the audio would have worked out. But both these reels, Basser, BS 2000s. I did get a backlash on the reel that I use my swim jigs on, and that's because I don't know if it's from sitting in a warehouse too long or what, but it just it needs a little oil. It just felt dry, but it did cast very well. The 8-to-1 gear ratio, when you hook up, you definitely get a good hook set on there, and you can reel the fish out of them weeds quickly. So the only issues I had was, some buzzing from being dry, which I'll oil this and keep using it because it did cast well, and I did notice right away before it started getting dried out was the reel did cast very well. And as for distance, the frogging reel did do better. But like I said, this one just seems dry. So, whoops, sorry, just dropping stuff. So like I said, what I'll do is, let me close this up quick, get a little tension off here. Open up the side, and see it even stuck. So and it looks really dry, but I'll put some oil on the bearings, and I'll use a quality reel oil, so yeah, that bearing in there looks dry too, so everything feels dry. But I'll take both sides off the reel, and I'll go through and lube it up, and because I've had reels do stuff like that before. But as for fishability, it fished fine, and like I said, the 8-to-1 gear ratio, something I'm definitely not used to, because sometimes I feel like I'm reeling it in too fast. But most of the fish, I think all the fish, were caught, on the Super K swim jig today, and it worked really well. And would I recommend this to anybody? If you're just starting out and you set it up correctly, like I showed in the beginning of the video, I think you'll be very happy with it. When the wind does kick up, like I said, I had this magnet turned up a little bit, so you can adjust that magnet and cast into the wind just fine. Now, as for the second reel that I have on the matching rod and reel, so it looks good if nothing else, but I had zero issues with this reel from Obalus, and it wasn't chattering. It doesn't seem dry, although I probably will oil it a little bit. Sometimes it used to be the reels would come with a little tube of oil, but nowadays they don't. So, but just go to a reputable sporting goods and ask for some good reel oil. Like I said, the first reel, that one needs it, but this reel didn't need a thing. And I use the Abu Garcia. If you look back on some of my other videos, I use the Abu Garcia for my main frogging rod, but I think this is gonna be my main frogging rod next time. I did miss some fish on the frog today. Missed a couple big ones, but at least we caught some fish. And the 8-to-1 does make a difference, but you just have to teach yourself to slow down a little bit. Then once you get that hook up, then you can pull them up out of the weeds. So for an 8-to-1 gear ratio reel, it looks good. It does cast good. I was getting more distance than ever with this, and even against the wind, I had zero issues. The swim bait rod needing oil because it's dry. That one I did have to use the magnets against the wind and stuff. The lure weights are both the same, both 1/4 ounce. So, but yeah, your choice. And I would, if you're a beginner, buy them. Look at the beginning of my video, see how to set them up. And if it's a windy day, definitely use that magnet. Or if you're just not trusting yourself, to thumb the spool, if you need to, definitely use the magnet, even on calm days. But I was able to cast this without putting my thumb on the spool at all, and it worked fine. So, Basser, I don't know who actually makes these reels. It could be an Abu Garcia, they could be a Daiwa, who knows. They're from China, obviously, but companies like Obalus sell them, and like I said, a few other companies. But I think it is a good reel for the money, without having to spend, you know, $100+ or more for a decent quality reel. If I have any issues down the road, I'll definitely make another video. But as for today, in the wind and in the rain, it's kind of like a postman. In the wind and in the rain and in the current and everything else, fishing the Mississippi River pool number 8 in the Black River area, I had no issues with this rod and reel. So, alright, if you have any questions or concerns, make sure you comment down below. Like and subscribe. And summer's coming to the close, but we're still going to get out and fish as much as possible. But bow hunting will be soon coming up, as well as gun season. So we have all kinds of things lined up. Alright, thanks for watching. Okay, now a quick little update. I got home, and the oil that I use is label's kind of wore off, but it's Miltech oil, which is basically used for firearms, but it's also a good reel oil. I put a little drop right in there, in that bearing on the outside housing. Then I pulled the spool out and basically did the same thing on the inside center. Just take it and just a drop. I put the spool back in. Let me get the line straightened out here. Put the spool back in. Take the outside housing. Put that back on. Click it back into place. And my reels were operating perfectly. I did this on the my swim bait rod, and took it out in the yard, did some casting with it, and it no longer chatters or squeals. It is operating perfectly. So when you get the reels, if there's any issue about them for not spinning like you think they should, then get a quality reel oil. Or if you can find a Miltech oil, which is very hard to find. It's basically used in Desert Storm on automatic weapons, and works outstanding. So if you have any issues at all with the Basser reel from Obalus, just take that spool out and put a little bit of reel oil in there, and all your problems will be solved.